You're listening to Whoa! Potluck.
And you're listening to another episode of Books Boba, a book club and podcast featuring books by Asian and Asian American authors. My name is Marvin Yeh.
And I'm Rira Yu.
And we are here for our
October mid-month episode 2019. We forgot what month it was for a brief second.
You know, September was really, really busy. I was just traveling. We went over this the last time.
You're always traveling. Yeah. I feel like every episode we're just like, so Marvin, you're finally back.
But yeah, I was just in Seattle this past weekend enjoying. It was a really nice weekend. The sun was out. It was the first time I've been in Seattle where it didn't rain once and I actually saw the sky and it's really beautiful. And then I come back to our home state where everything is on fire.
Yep. Yep. And San Francisco has been, with
there was an earthquake last night.
Power outages.
Yeah, things are a mess here in the Golden State.
Yeah. Seattle's actually my favorite city in America.
Is it?
Yes.
What about it?
I mean, I really love rain. And I don't know, there's like a really nice mix of like modernity and also like this artistic vibe of the city. I think it's also like the most talented people I know in my social circles are from Seattle.
Oh.
And I feel like that city just has like great music and it's just a really beautiful city.
Yeah. We were staying near the new Amazon campus, so I was able to walk around the headquarters of our future corporate overlords. So that was fun too.
I mean, that's like the sad part of Seattle though, because like there are so many techies now. And they've just kind of taken over the neighborhood. And a lot of the gentrification is making artists like find new places to live, which is unfortunate.
It was just so on the nose, too. I don't know if you've seen pictures of the new Amazon buildings.
I saw it when it was in construction.
But they're like black tinted windows with like gold accents.
Oh, it sounds really gross.
It looks like future Empire for sure.
So like pretty much like what game designers would put in like their
like
steampunk world.
Or like dystopian cyberpunk. Like this is the area where you go and do your like heist jobs. Well, I'm glad to be back. And thank you, Rira, as always, for compiling this month's book news for our mid-month episode. Before we get to that, though, a quick reminder, and we'll remind you again at the end of the episode, that our October 2019 book club pick is Summer of Big Bocce by Naomi Hirahara. And I have not started yet, so I need to get going.
It's a very short novel.
Yeah.
So it should be an easy read. I'm sure we'll have lots to talk about.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because it's set locally. It's written by a local author. And from what I know about it, I know it's going to be fun. So excited about that. But yeah, let's get to the mid-month book news. Rira, why don't you start us off?
All right. Scholastic and Chicken House acquired rights to K-Pop Confidential by Stefan Lee, who is a Bustle senior editor and former Entertainment Weekly editor. In Lee's YA debut, a Korean-American teen travels to Seoul in hopes of debuting in a girl group at the same K-pop agency behind the biggest boy band on the planet. The book will be published simultaneously in the US and UK in fall 2020.
I wonder how candid this will be. Like, would this be like a glorification of the K-pop system?
No, I honestly don't think so.
Well, it's called K-Pop Confidential.
Yeah, there are a lot of K-pop YA books that are coming out in 2020 and 2021. I mean, Maureen Gu's book had a K-pop star, and that came out like a couple months ago. And it's nice because they're being written by Korean Americans. As a K-pop fan, I am cautiously optimistic because it's so easy to just do like a generalization of the K-pop industry. And I think there is like a lot of politics in it that a lot of international fans might not know about.
Yeah, and it's a YA book, so I imagine
it's coming of age.
Yeah.
There might be romance and I wonder how, like you said, candid it will be.
Right.
Like I said, cautiously optimistic about it. But congratulations to Stefan Lee.
Yeah.
We're going to go back to this K-pop topic at the end of our book deal news. Marvin, if you can go on to the second piece of book deal news.
Yeah. Next up, Dial Books bought the sequel to Adib Khorram's debut novel, Darius the Great is Not Okay, our Books Boba March 2019 pick, titled Darius the Great Deserves Better. The novel follows Darius after his life-changing trip to Iran. He has his first boyfriend, a dream internship, a soccer team full of new friends, but he still feels like something is amiss. Publication is slated for fall 2020. Are you excited for this
I am
sequel?
very, very excited for this. I loved Darius the Great is Not Okay. Even though I am not the demographic for it because it is a young adult novel, but I related a lot to it, and I'm really glad that there is a sequel to Adib Khorram's debut novel.
I remember the book touches a lot on destigmatizing depression and mental health too, and I think having that as a sequel to that.
It's nice because it wasn't we mentioned this in our March 2019 episode, but I liked how it wasn't a mental health book. It was definitely more of a coming of age story where you have a teen that is spending his summer in a foreign country, and I just feel like that is my I love slice of life stories. It's just one of the things I just absolutely love in storytelling.
Yeah. And we also discussed how refreshing it was to have this type of story be centered on a teen of color.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Discovering themselves in their heritage country.
Yeah, their parents' birthplace, the motherland, if you will. We talked about that a lot, how it is very relatable as Asian Americans who go back to the motherland.
If you haven't read the first book, go ahead and read it, listen to our discussion, and then you'll also be excited for
then
this
you'll
next
know.
book.
You'll know our feelings on it.
Yeah.
So next up, we have Inkyard acquired Tashi Bhuyan's debut novel, Counting Down With You. In this romantic contemporary YA novel, a Bangladeshi Muslim teenager navigates the difficulties of independence, family, and first love after being roped into a fake dating facade by a classmate. Publication is scheduled for mid-2021. Oh man, fake relationships.
Fake dating is your...
I love it. I love it.
I love that it's a classic rom-com trope. But
it's a trope that will never die, and I hope it never dies. I'm all for it.
Next up, Harper Teen bought an untitled queer YA rom-com by Misa Sugiura. The novel follows Nozomi Takashi, who plans to reinvent herself over the summer, starting with a fake dating relationship with her new coworker Willow and going on adventures with her best friend Ruby in San Francisco. But real life and real feelings eventually find a way into the fake romance. Publication is set for summer 2021.
What did I say about fake relationships? Yes, it is a trope that will never die, and I love it. Keep writing those.
Yeah. This is a double whammy. It's both the fake relationship and the summer glow up story.
Man, when is my summer glow up ever going to happen? But Misa Sugiura, she is the author of This Time Will Be Different, and we talked to her on our podcast a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah, check that out. And her book, this is a very different book from that one, but it's...
Yeah, but it's also set in San Francisco. Yeah. So, I don't know why I don't really like San Francisco, as a person who visited that city, but I like reading about it in books. I don't know why. The reality versus...
I think we all love the idea of San Francisco, especially the idea of what San Francisco was. And
man, some angry San Francisco people are listening to this podcast right now.
If they're really from San Francisco, they understand. And they know.
It's the New York of the West Coast.
Yeah. Or the Brooklyn.
The Brooklyn of the West
Bedford,
Coast.
The Bedford stop.
Oh, man. Boom Studios bought A Thief Among the Trees, a graphic novel that serves as the official prequel to Sabar Tahir's An Ember in the Ashes series. First in a 3-book deal, A Thief Among the Trees explores the pasts of Fiverr's Elias, Helene, and Tavi as they begin to confront the harrowing realities of martial rule and find their places in the system. The graphic novel will be penned by Nicole Adelfinger and illustrated by Sonia Lau. Publication is set for summer 2020.
I've seen the Ember and the Ashes series around. They have really cool covers.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They have really cool covers, and it's another like kind of Asian-inspired fantasy series.
Yeah. It sounds interesting. I always wonder, like, I guess it makes sense that authors and like creators make prequels after their, magnus opus, because I mean they did all that work world building. Might as well.
Yeah, might as well, right? Yeah, and I apologize if I mispronounced any of the fictional characters' names. That's the thing about fantasy, like there are like weird names that you don't really know how to pronounce unless they have like a pronunciation guide in like the beginning of the book.
I just finished Jade War, and I'm pretty sure every pronunciation in my head is wrong from that series. So
even when fantasy authors like correct readers on like how to pronounce things, I still like revert to my pronunciation of stuff.
I mean, wasn't your pronunciation of Hermione?
Yeah, Hermione.
I mean, how many people didn't realize it was Hermione until that first movie,
happened,
right?
Yeah.
And they're like, who's that?
It's the same thing with Warcross by Marie Lu, because I thought the main character's name was Emika, but it's actually Emika.
Oh.
But I just, it's habit, so I just kind of call her Emika. Does it really matter in the end? I don't know.
I mean...
Hey, I read the book. That is the thing that counts.
If they were real and they would correct me, then I would say, okay. Noted. Right? So next up, second acquired illustrator Harmony Becker's Himawari Share, a YA graphic novel about 3 foreign exchange students who live together in a share house in Tokyo. Publication is scheduled for 2021. Is this just Terrace House?
Oh my God. I hope it is.
Terrace House, the graphic novel?
Harmony Becker is actually the illustrator of George Takei's graphic memoir, They Called Us Enemies. So it's great that she's doing another graphic novel or graphic medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds, I don't know.
It sounds like my jam because it is slice of life.
Uh-huh.
I'm actually reading a manga right now. I forgot the title, but it's literally like a similar premise where it's a share house and there are people of varying ages and they're learning to live together. Pretty close to Terrace House in manga form, but there's a little bit more drama and romance to it.
Right, not as low stakes.
Yeah, I think it's called like Friend House or like maybe it's just Boarding House. It was a very bland title, so I don't really remember it. If anybody who is listening knows which manga I'm talking about, please leave us a comment on Twitter or in our Goodreads forums. Next up, Green Willow bought rights to Maggie Tokuda Hall's YA graphic novel, Squad. The story follows a clique of teen girls who like to dress up and go to parties, target entitled Date Rapey Bros, turn into wolves, and then eat them. Publication is slated for fall 2021.
Damn. It reminds me of, have you seen What We Do in the Shadows?
The series or the movie?
The movie. I haven't seen the series yet.
I haven't seen the series, but I've watched the movie, and it's like one of my favorite movies of all time.
But there's that pack of werewolves.
Yeah.
Like it seems like that, but like more violent, I guess.
Is it more violent? Because it is young adult.
That's true.
If it was like adult graphic novel, it would definitely be like monstrous level of violence.
Well, I mean, in terms of like them like eating bros, which is like sure doing.
I'm all for
probably.
it. This sounds pretty badass.
Yeah. Next up, Tundra acquired Peter Lee. Field Notes and Observations by Angela Ahn. When the whole family takes a road trip so Peter can live out his paleontologist dreams at a real-life dinosaur dig, Peter realizes that if he teams up with his genius kid sister, maybe his scientific mind can also help his grandmother suffering from dementia. Publication is set for summer 2021, and Tundra also acquired a second untitled middle grade novel by Angela Ahn as well.
Were you a big dinosaur person when you were a kid? I feel like dinosaurs are like a thing that little kids really like.
I used to, oh, this is embarrassing. I used to have a like an obsession with Jurassic Park after it came out.
It sounds on brand for you.
And I actually, like, my brother and I would record a radio program for Jurassic Park on our old like tape deck. So we were podcasting before podcasting even existed. All right. And yeah, I would say, I don't remember being into it, but I would say I probably was if that was what we did for Make Believe.
My nephews, they're really into dinosaurs. Like they know the name, like the scientific names of dinosaurs, and it's very cute because they're so young and they can't pronounce all of the words, so it like comes out like all jumbled. But I've noticed that a lot of kids are really into dinosaurs.
I wonder if dinosaurs have changed since I was a kid.
Like, what do you mean?
Like in terms of what they're called, because like. The thing with dinosaur science is that everyone's just making guesses on what these dinosaurs might have looked like or might have been.
But I don't think the names have changed. Like maybe, I mean, definitely the illustrations have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wonder if any like dinosaur has been like Plutoed, where they're like no longer a dinosaur,
Oh, no longer a dinosaur, but just like an ancient whale or an ancient chicken.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. Next up, Orchard Books at Scholastic bought author-illustrator Shirley Chan's debut picture book, Magic is All Around. In the story, a child moves to a new town and shares a fantastical journey with a friend who makes her unfamiliar surroundings feel less daunting. Publication is set for fall 2021. Oh, that sounds really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to move around a lot as a kid, so I can relate. And it's probably something that kids can learn and grow from.
Yeah. Did you also have an imaginary friend?
No. I was way too cynical and practical for that as a kid.
Next up, Levine Cuerdo acquired world rights to a YA graphic novel memoir from Jashot Singh Hans. This debut follows the artist's life from New Delhi to Baltimore, or Baltimore if you're from there, including growing up Sikh, learning how to catch a cricket ball and not die, learning to love his body, becoming an artist, family traditions while watching TV soaps, coming out, his loving and only the tiniest bit suffocating parents, immigrating to the U.S., navigating dating apps, and more. Publication is planned for spring 2022. That's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
That's just like adulting.
That is a lot to illustrate. It's a graphic novel memoir. I don't know why it's termed that way, but it was, as always, we get our source from Publishers Weekly, and that is how they described it. So
I don't know if I follow his work, but I wonder if it's similar to Dami Lee's Be Everything at Once, where it's like a bunch of short comics.
Oh, maybe,
I don't know.
yeah.
This is all speculation. It could just be like a giant memoir too.
Well, either way, it sounds interesting. Next up, we have Amulet acquired Diana Ma's debut novel, Heiress Apparently. This YA novel follows a Chinese-American actress living in LA who lands her dream role set to film in Beijing, a city she was forbidden to enter. There, she discovers that she's descended from Chinese nobility. And Amulet also acquired an untitled second book in the Daughters of the Dynasty series, which follows the fictionalized descendants of a powerful Chinese empress.
Oh. So I guess it's another like YA in terms of like the trope of surprise, you're a princess.
Oh, Princess Diaries, yeah.
For a Chinese lady. So that's cool.
Do you think a lot of Asian parents, when they like talk about their heritage or like ancestry, they like lie to their kids, being like, "Oh, we're descended from like the royal family or nobility"?
I think it depends. I don't know. I mean, so the emperor of the Han Dynasty was named Liu, 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 which is like a pretty common Chinese name. So I'm sure all of them can claim imperial heritage, probably. I don't know. I mean,
it's the same with like in like Korean royalty. Like there was like a royal Kim, but like the Chinese character is different, and there are a lot of people with that exact last name, and it's weird because there's like a lot of like the king slept around a lot. So you have descendants, but obviously they can't claim claim anything. There is like it is very weird because like Korea is not a monarchy, obviously. And like the last remnants of the royal Korean family, they like fled and then they came back. They don't really have any power. It's very like strictly ceremonial, and they don't like have a lot of wealth either.
Right.
And the thing is, like the Korean royal family, like a lot of them are Japanese and like ethnically because there were like intermarriages in hopes of peace, which did not work out.
Yeah. I imagine did not. It's interesting, like because I want to say nobility in imperial China isn't necessarily the same as like nobility in like medieval Europe.
Oh no, definitely not.
It's a different beast because it's not necessarily hereditary because it's all based on imperial appointments. But there were landowners, and I guess that is what they're talking.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I always laugh when I watch like historical Korean dramas, and they like. And like with the English subtitles, there is like no equivalent to their title.
Yeah.
And like in the early days, English translators would be like, "Oh, the Duke of blah blah blah," and I'm like, there are no dukes in Korean royalty. But it's gotten better with just like it's like, oh, people who have watched Korean dramas enough, they know like what position this is.
I mean, I guess in terms of relative position to the king, I guess Duke would be.
I don't know.
A similar thing, but
it's just weird when they're like, oh, the Duchess of blah blah blah, and it's just like Duchess, like, like I don't understand like where these titles are coming from. How are you making a difference in stations? It's just really weird.
Like in TV shows about like the Three Kingdoms era, a lot of Marcuses, a lot of like there's dukes also, but it's like it's not necessarily.
To me, it's just
equivalent.
Like, oh, rich person in court. Like, that is like, it's just like, I can't keep track of titles, especially in like medieval literature, like in like, you know, typical high fantasy stuff. I'm like, I don't understand like what the difference is. Whatever, rich person in court. It is. So our last book deal is in a 2-book deal, Simon Pulse acquired North American rights to K-pop star and fashion mogul Jessica Jung's debut novel, Shine. Pitched as Crazy Rich Asian meets Gossip Girl and drawn from Jung's own experience, the series follows a Korean-American teen thrust into the competitive world of K-pop. Publication for the first book is slated for fall 2020 and the sequel for 2021. And in addition, according to Entertainment Weekly, Glasstown Entertainment is currently developing a screen adaptation of the series with Matt Kaplan of Ace Entertainment, who was a producer of the To All the Boys I've Loved Before Netflix adaptation.
Bringing it back.
Yeah, coming full circle.
I mean, it sounds like this book follows a lot of like many of the books on our list, mashes together a lot of tried and true tropes into a new packet, into a new like perspective, because it's not only like thrust into the world of fame of the K-pop world, but it's also exploring your motherland as a diaspora teen, right? As a Korean American.
I am super excited for this book. There are a lot of K-pop YA novels that are coming out next year and the year after. This is the one that's probably going to be the most authentic, simply because it's written by, I guess, like a former K-pop singer. I'm not sure if Jessica is still producing albums in Korea. But for those of you who are unfamiliar with Jessica Jung, she was a former member of Girls' Generation, which is arguably like one of the biggest girl groups in K-pop history. And, Jessica Jung is actually she was raised in California, and then she moved to Korea with her sister to follow their dreams in becoming a K-pop star. And they went back to Korea like in their adolescence, like because training to be a K-pop star, you have to start young. So, it'll be very interesting to to read the story, especially like considering like, okay, like a lot of these parts are real.
Yeah, and I wonder if it will take place back when because when Girls' Generation became a big thing, that was still in
2008, 2009.
Yeah, that was like maybe like second wave of like the K-pop boom.
I don't know how it depends on like what you deem as like first generation, second generation.
But they were one of the first like big groups.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They started out as 9 members, and like back then it was like, whoa, 9 members in a girl group, that is insane. But now you see groups with like 11 members, and you don't even bat an eye.
Yeah, because I remember when I was first introduced to K-pop through some friends, it was like 3-member groups like SES or
like 5-member groups like Finkel or Baby Vox. Wow, I am showing my age.
But excited for that, and excited for the TV show. I think that's congrats. I mean,
it's Netflix. It's To All the Boys I Loved Before. Like there is some faith in in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure like Jessica Jung is not gonna let her story be trash on screen. I feel like there's a lot of expectations that have to be met.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll do it for
book deals.
Book deals. Is there any news?
We have a few short news. The first piece of news is Oprah's book club is set to premiere on Apple TV Plus on November 1st. And the show is apparently like they're going to interview a bunch of authors on camera. And that's going to be the show. Interesting. Oprah's book club, it's been a long running thing. And a lot of writers of color have been introduced through Oprah's book club. So I am curious as to see like which guests they'll be bringing onto the show.
We need a TV show. Books Boba.
I don't want to show my face on camera. And I guess like another short piece of news is the National Book Awards long list was announced last night or today. I'm not sure, but it was recently announced.
Right.
And they'll be announcing the winners in November. And congratulations to all the nominees. But I'm going to just highlight the Asian writers because
we only care about those
because of our concept of the show. Congratulations to Susan Choi, the author of Trust Exercise, for being nominated for Best Fiction. And congratulations to Yoko Ogawa, the author of The Memory Police, which has been nominated for Best Translated Literature. And that's all I have. I'm pretty sure I missed a bunch of book news, so please feel free to share in our book news thread on Goodreads forums.
Let us know what's going on. And on that note, I guess that'll also do it for this episode of Books and Boba. Rira, thank you again for compiling everything for us. There's a lot of stuff coming out. I feel like the summer was pretty light, right, in terms of deals.
I think
and stuff.
so, yeah.
But like, wow, we had so many.
It's because we're approaching holiday season, and that's when like all of the big releases are coming out, so people can buy them for family members.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, don't forget our October 2019 book club pick is Summer of Big Bocce by Naomi Hirahara. We'll be discussing that at the end of the month, so please read along and let us know your thoughts so we can bring them up during the discussion as well.
And I just want to say a quick thank you to the people who have been commenting on past book club picks. I love seeing people like talk about old books that we've talked about on the show because then I'm like, oh, what did we talk about on the show? And then I read people's comments and I'm like, oh, that's what we talked about on the show. And it's nice to like hear differing opinions because, you know, obviously not everyone is going to like the book that we pick out.
Yeah. I'm just glad people are enjoying our discussions because I never know how well they'll go over.
Yeah. It's like I forget whenever we finish recording, I forget what I say on the shows.
So yeah, thank you to everyone who has been following us, who have been engaging and commenting, giving us reviews on Apple. We really do appreciate it, and we do love to see how big our community has grown. Please keep sharing with us what you're reading, what's your thoughts about our book picks, and we look forward to continuing this relationship now that we're setting off into our 4th year as a book club. And on that note, thanks again for listening. See you next time on Books Boba.
All right, bye.
Thanks for listening to Books Boba. This episode was hosted by Marvin Yue and Rira Yu and produced and edited by Marvin Yue. This podcast was recorded at the Potluck Podcast Studios located within the Visual Communications offices in downtown Los Angeles. You can learn more about Visual Communications and their programs such as the Los Angeles Asian Pacific Film Festival by going to the website at vcmedia.org. Thanks also to the Potluck Podcast Collective, a collective of Asian American hosted podcasts that Books Boba is a proud member of. You can learn more about our fellow Potluck podcast by checking out the website podcastpotluck.com.
Hi, this is Taz.
And this is Zara.
And we are the Good Muslim, Bad Muslim podcast. It is a show about being 2 Muslim women in America.
We talk about pop culture, the pork lobby, periods.
And we talk about Islamophobia, patriarchy, and smashing white supremacy.
It's a range.
Download the Good Muslim, Bad Muslim podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Or at goodmuslimbadmuslim.com.